I graduated from, after completing my undergraduate studies in the US in '91, and I've been doing this ever since. It's going to come on to 25 years, so that's a pretty sizable time. We've seen, a tremendous change in the real estate sector over the last 2.5 decades. We've been through a number of downturns. We've seen a maturing of the real estate market. We've seen days when when people would get a home loan, they would actually celebrate. To days when interest rates went down to 7.25%, and there was a tremendous boom in terms of sales. We've seen so ups and downs, a maturing of the real estate sector over the last 25 years. At a time now where we're going to see a tremendous degree of change yet again. So I think 2016 is really going to be a landmark year, and we're going to see tremendous change in this year. When I started in '91, the entire country was in an overall crisis, right? Like others, we were caught in a cash flow problem. You have assets, but you don't have cash, and those were my early days, where you kind of started off with a trial by fire, so to speak. So I pretty much took a decision at that time that we will not be caught in a cash flow problem ever again. And so therefore we've been conservative over the years, but that has paid off well. So it's at times like these when we find that we're doing well. So I think that's been one thing. And the other thing that's kind of molded our entire approach has been the values that we've been brought up with. And I think the other thing is you have to think about things from the customer's perspective. At the end of the day, this is the only asset where you buy today, but you pay for 20 years. Recognizing this, I think for me and for our organization, is an extremely important aspect. So these are some of the things that we keep, totally central to what we do. And then, of course, we're an innovative company. We do a lot of new things. We've done a 5-year warranty, for example. We've done child-centric homes, a lot of things of this sort, and so these are the things that keep us going. Early days, big challenge was cash flow, and we figured it out. Bumped into a few walls, but we figured it out. Fortunately, there wasn't any level of debt of any consequence. So it was a little challenging. It was difficult. So I think that was one of the things. And that I count that as very significant because that has really molded the rest of my career. So I think that challenge in the early days was probably by far the most critical challenge that we faced. I like to believe that people see us as standing up and doing the right thing. We certainly do that, but a lot of that happens, within the four walls of your organization, and it doesn't come into the public space. But for example, if you ask people, has there been any scam associated with them? You'll get a no. That's because there hasn't been any scam. We haven't bought a single piece of land, which is, with the government, and you have to pay somebody, you've got to get something cleared, you've got to buy something of that sort. A tenanted piece of land where you've got to strong arm a tenant to leave. We've never done any of those things. We haven't had a single case of default on any payment ever. So in this industry, and maybe some of your viewers will be a little surprised, but the real estate sector is such where it's disorganized to a large extent, where the first thing that gets delayed when businesses are going through cash flow problems are vendor payments and staff salaries, right? We've instituted a system in our organization, I think since 2006, which is now coming up to 10 years. There hasn't been a single month of any of these years when the salary of my staff has gone out on the first of the month. It's always been before the end of the month. These are small things which we believe are very, very important. So, these are some of the things that we follow. firstly, I think it's never going to happen. Okay, this target is too ambitious, right? There's great intention. I have no doubt about the intention and the intent and the desire. But with the way things are currently, look, they're talking about and they're focusing about ease of doing business. There's a lot of joy and satisfaction with the government about saying we move from 142 to 130, right? It's great. But when you break up that rating and you look at the subsectors of that rating, one of the categories is ease of dealing with construction permits, right? There were 189 countries in the survey. Last year we were at 182 out of 189 countries on ease of dealing with construction permits. This year it moved up to 181. Okay, we are the 181st most difficult country in the world to deal with construction permits. The first step to a housing project is the construction permit. And you're telling me we're going to be able to meet any kind of a target? It's impossible. So that's one. The real estate regulatory bill which is being talked about is, to my mind, a great idea in theory. We need some kind of legislation to protect the customer. I'm all for it. But unless and until the government realizes that the fault is not only with the developer. Is the developer at fault? I don't disagree at all. But I think that there are approvals, there are changes that are made in a knee-jerk manner when it comes to the approval process, when it comes to the occupancy certificate process, when it comes to the environment rules. Okay, it's all knee-jerk, it's all haphazard. And unless and until we fix all of it, unless and until the real estate regulatory bill actually addresses the ecosystem, okay, you're not going to be successful. You're just not. You will take care of part of the problem, and it'll help. It'll certainly help, but will it answer, the question that you raised of delivering the target that the government wants to achieve? I don't think so. I think every Indian city is unique in its own way, right? Because every city, we are a developing nation, okay? And here's the interesting thing. I studied, one of my majors was in economics when I was studying in the US. India would be referred to as, it's not fair, it's not right now politically correct to say underdeveloped. So in the early 90s is when they started saying it's a developing economy. I asked people, what do you mean by, what is the definition of a developing economy? And there was no definition. So I kind of over the years figured out my own definition, and that is, if people move in first and infrastructure follows, then you're a developing economy. So India is a developing economy. There's no doubt about that. Different cities have different challenges. So in some cities, rationalization of FAR may be the solution. Densification may be a solution in some cities, right? Solving inner city issues may be a problem in another city. So I don't think that there is one solution. If there is one solution, really it's about single window clearance, right? And some of those things you want to say, okay, these are the rules. You get a 7-day approval process. Then we'll take 2 months or 3 months to assess and check. If we find something wrong, we'll stop your project. If it's all clear and it's all as per the rules, go ahead and do it. Right? Things like that speed things up a lot. The tax structure, the tax regime certainly needs a relook. Housing in India is, first we paid something called stamp duty because you were an immovable asset. So under the Stamp Act, transfer of an immovable asset is governed by a separate category of tax. Somewhere along the way, you're also judged as being providing a service. So now you're paying tax on an immovable product and you're paying service tax. Then they come along and say, okay, let's also add VAT, which is for a movable good. So now we pay tax for an immovable property, for a service, and for a movable good. Now you may turn around and say, okay, there is an element of each of these things in what you provide on an overall basis. Well, fair enough. To that extent then, reduce the valuation of the stamp duty amount, put the service tax amount and put the VAT amount. But you can't charge stamp on the whole thing and then a service tax and then also a VAT. So I think tax is certainly something which we could learn a lot from other jurisdictions. But I think city-specific solutions will have to come in from best-in-class practices, best practices from different parts of the world. I don't think that there is a one-size solution that can be applied to any single town or city or metropolis in India. I don't think that's going to work. Can you think of your customer as somebody who's going to come back and buy more and more and more homes from you? Because if you just do that, the customer comes to the center of your decision making. The thing with real estate is we don't view this as a repeat purchase. Right? Imagine if you're buying a car from a brand and that they have a horrible experience, they're never going to buy another car from you again. And it's a 3 or a 4 year or a 6 year purchase. We look at a home as a lifetime purchase, so developers tend to not put the customer at the center of everything that they do. I think that that's something which if we become customer centric, there's tremendous opportunity.